They laughed when he walked on stage. An old man with white hair, shaky hands, and a wrinkled suit that looked like it had stories to tell. Some people chuckled softly. Others whispered, "He's lost. What's he doing here?" But the old man didn't say a word. He smiled, a quiet, peaceful kind of smile, and held the microphone with both trembling hands. The crowd grew restless. Then he said softly, "Let's make this night count." The audience giggled. Even the host looked unsure. But when the old man closed his eyes and took a deep breath, the room began to change. Because the moment he opened his mouth, everything stopped. His name was Henry Cole, born and raised in a small town in Ohio. A boy who grew up with a guitar in his hands and a dream bigger than the sky. While other kids played ball or chased each other through fields, Henry sat by his window, strumming his old wooden guitar, the one his uncle gave him when he turned 12. He dreamed of big lights, grand stages, and people singing along to his songs. But life doesn't always sing the song you write. Henry married young. He had a family to feed and bills to pay. He worked at the steel mill every day, 12-hour shifts that left his hands blistered and his back aching. Music became something he hummed quietly under his breath between the sound of machines and metal. He promised himself he'd go back to it someday, but someday never came. Years passed. The dream faded. The guitar collected dust in the corner of the closet. He raised his son, took care of his wife, and did everything a good man was supposed to do. But somewhere deep down, his heart never stopped humming that old tune. When his wife passed away after 40 years of marriage, Henry's world fell silent. His son moved to another state, chasing his own life, his own dreams. And Henry? He stayed behind, alone in that quiet house that once echoed with laughter and songs. Every morning he'd sit by the window with a cup of coffee, staring at the world outside, and sometimes he'd whisper, "Guess I miss my song." But life has a strange way of circling back. One afternoon, his granddaughter Lily came to visit. She was helping clean out the attic when she found an old shoebox full of tapes. She blew off the dust, pressed play, and heard something that stopped her cold. A young voice, warm, rich, full of life, singing an old blues tune. "Grandpa," she said, running downstairs, "is this you?" Henry smiled shyly. That was a long time ago. Lily stared at him. "Grandpa, you were amazing. Why did you stop?" He looked away. "Because dreams don't pay bills, sweetheart." But Lily wasn't done. She grabbed his hand. "There's a community talent show next week. Everyone can join. Please, Grandpa, do it for me." Henry laughed, shaking his head. "At my age, they'll laugh me off the stage." But she looked at him with those same determined eyes his wife once had and said, "Dreams don't expire, Grandpa." That night, Henry couldn't sleep. He sat at the kitchen table, staring at his old guitar in the corner. Finally, he got up, wiped off the dust, and whispered, "All right, old friend, let's see if you still remember me." His fingers were stiff. His voice cracked at first, but the more he played, the more he felt alive. He practiced every night for a week. The neighbors heard him and laughed. What's the old man trying to prove? But Henry didn't care. Every note pulled him closer to the man he used to be. Every word brought back a piece of the life he'd lost. When the night of the show arrived, he almost backed out. He stood backstage, surrounded by kids half his great-granddaughter's age. Rappers, dancers, singers with glitter in their hair. Lily squeezed his hand and said, "You've got this." When they called his name, the crowd murmured, "Henry Cole? Who's that?" He walked up slowly, his knees a little shaky. The spotlight hit him like a memory. He adjusted the mic. The host whispered, "Take your time, sir." Then came the silence. Henry took a deep breath and began to sing. At first, his voice trembled, soft, uncertain. A few people giggled. But then something changed. His voice grew stronger, warmer. The kind of voice that carries a lifetime inside it. The pain, the love, the joy, the loss. Every word hit like a heartbeat. The laughter stopped. The audience leaned in. You could hear a pin drop. When he finished, he lowered the mic and looked up. For a moment, no one moved. Then a single clap broke the silence. then another and another, until the entire room was on its feet. People cheered, some with tears in their eyes. Even the host had his hand over his heart. Henry just stood there, smiling, not proud, not surprised, just grateful. The video of that night went viral. Overnight, Henry became the grandpa with the golden voice. Talk shows called. Radio hosts replayed his song. He got to record a studio version at 72 years old, the same song he wrote when he was 20. His son called him the next day. His voice cracked on the phone. "Dad, I saw you sing. I'm proud of you." Henry smiled. "Took me a while, but I finally sang my song." The weeks that followed were filled with messages from people all over the world. Some said he inspired them to chase their own forgotten dreams. Others said they called their parents after watching his video just to say they loved them. And Henry? He didn't want fame or glory. All he ever wanted was to sing one last time, to prove to himself that the fire inside hadn't gone out. At the next open mic night, the host introduced him not as the old man, but as the legend. And when he stepped on stage, people didn't laugh this time. They listened. They respected. When he finished, Lily ran up and hugged him tight. "See, Grandpa, I told you, dreams don't expire." He smiled and said softly, "No, sweetheart, they just wait for you to remember them." And that's the story of Henry Cole, the old man who picked up a mic and reminded the world that passion never grows old and dreams don't retire. They laughed when he walked up on stage. But when he sang his song, they stood in awe, because sometimes the soul just needs a moment to be heard, no matter how many years have passed.